All right, Hadil, let's take a look at your essay. So, spelling is something that I am looking at with grammar, and I'm just going to tell you right from the start, the fact that your name is not capitalized and also spelled incorrectly unless there's a change I don't know about, this is a little bit concerning because that should be something that should be fixed right away. Um, Start off with that. Looking in your introduction to start with, are mercy killings ethical? Questions are okay to start with, but if you recall the introduction, conclusion, and hooks packet we looked at, this is a yes or no answer. This does not get your reader thinking about the topics right away. It's just you restating the question I'm asking you. So this is not an effective hook for your essay. And then even as we move here, you have some punctuation concerns within this first sentence right here. Um, this question mark should be attached to this word. I don't know why the space is there. There's no capitalization for your second sentence, and then you don't have any space between this comma and many. So right away, punctuation is one of these consistent errors I'm seeing in your introduction. Along with that, this sentence right here, well, many people have their own opinion. I am not really asking you in the introduction to be as concerned with other people, and this is just kind of a lazy way to add space into your paper. It's not really introducing mercy killings, it's just saying mercy killings is a topic, people have opinions on it. That could be true for almost anything, it's not really super original. However, what gets a little bit better is you are starting to introduce it here. Some people think they should go to jail, and some people think that there shouldn't be any suffering. So this part is actually okay in the sense that you are introducing the different perspectives there are. It's just when you say, well, people have their own opinion, that gets a little bit lazy at that point. So this is an okay to introduce it to recognize the different perspectives on it. All right, so moving on into the first body paragraph. I don't remember if I said this. I am pausing and re-recording a few things, but I want to point this out as well. Part of what I had on your assignment and what I've said before and what I put on the remix sheet is you need to get rid of these contractions. Don't, it's, you just gotta type it out. So that's another grammar concern I have. So my thoughts on mercy killings are pretty simple. I think it should have limits. So there's two issues with this thesis when it really comes down to it. The first being, I told you, well, first of all, I have two issues. I is always supposed to be capitalized, but second, you should have this in third person. My needs to be gone, and then I needs to be gone as well. The second part is I didn't really ask you what the parameters of mercy killing should be. You are only supposed to take one side. Yes, it is ethical, or no, it is not ethical. So you're not really following the assignment directions there as well. And then as we follow that, I have some concerns with the grammar here. Laws/rules to it. For a formal essay, you should not have this slash, and this is also a fragment. Laws and rules to it. What is it? The limits? This isn't super clear. And then, right here, I put this on the remix sheet for the rough draft as well. The word like is being used incorrectly here. So you were trying to use it as a conjunction, but it should not start your sentence. But it's not a great formal way to have your paper written. And then again, we have some more grammar concerns that I've talked about, the spacing issues, and we have the can't instead of cannot, so that is not spelled, the contraction is still there. When we look at this, the patient has to be aware of what is about to happen. It can't be painful to the patient. And we have another grammar thing. I think you mean to say no one's life is worthless. So there's a lot of certain grammar things going here. So the problem with the first body paragraph is this is very hypothetical. And so that's kind of what the main concern is. Your body paragraph does not use any evidence whatsoever from the articles, and it's just kind of you brainstorming a problem solution. And I said this back during the Iditarod essay and for the Of Mice and Men. This is, and during your remix sheet for the rough drafts, this is very hypothetical. you have some good ideas that could be explored here if you have the suffering and how people don't want their lives to suffer. And then you kind of counter that, which is okay. But again, with the glaring grammar issues that's consistent throughout here, and without the evidence, you don't really have anything to back it up, and you do not have any analysis really. This is just really hypothetical at this point. So then when we transition into your second body paragraph, again, as you can see with the red lines, don't forget that you have, let me see if I can pull this up. Google Drive has a bunch of add-ons if you don't like the spelling here, but that's, the red lines tell you right away that there's the spelling issues there. But anyways, as we move on to your next body paragraph, let's see. You literally have your second body paragraph as 3 sentences. So it's not a super long paragraph. And the thing you have in this paragraph that you don't have in the previous one is you're using actual evidence from the article, which is good. However, you have a little bit of hypothetical, so I have to think about this one for a second. So I see where you're going at with this, but if you remember in Of Mice and Men, the way that George shoots Lenny is in the back of the head so he doesn't actually feel pain. So I don't know if all of these were necessarily painful or painless. I'm not exactly sure, but you have evidence. You have Roswell Gilbert, it's not capitalized, but whatever, being sentenced, and then you have these examples, but you don't have any analysis other than not all mercy killings happens painlessly, and this should be happen instead of happens. So you have the evidence in here, but you are lacking the analysis component of it. So, alright, so continuing with this body paragraph. So looking at it, you do bring up the opposition right here. If the quality of life has become so bad, a person may feel too much physical or emotional pain. In the book of Mice and Men, Carlson shot Candy's dog. And we have that grammar concern because we're lacking the capitalization and the apostrophe here. But you describe this, and this is a good reference to Of Mice and Men, and you acknowledge the opposition pretty well here, and the evidence is good. What's lacking again is your analysis. You have a little bit with the quality of life being bad, so this is that. You have the analysis by comparing it to Of Mice and Men, but the problem is with your opposition paragraph, you are not countering it with your own claim. So that purpose of the opposing side is you are supposed to say, this is what they say, and this is why it's wrong. So this is probably your best body paragraph, but you don't really have anything to refute the opposition. Okay, and then looking at your conclusion now. So with your conclusion, this restates your thesis, which is good. So the conclusion is off to a good start. The glaring problems are the spelling errors and the grammar once again, and of course we have the contractions. One thing I want to point out, and this is something that I notice a lot of people do, this is not the correct word of the use till. And obviously it comes from the word until, but the problem is the way for this to work is you need an apostrophe T-I-L-L or apostrophe L before you do that. So let me get rid of that. Give me 1 second. Because this till is like a cashier till for a register, so this is the wrong use of that word. And then the other problem is you don't really restate anything that you used before in your essays. So you have this, and obviously this is a position that a lot of people feel like, and clearly that's the position you take. But the problem is it's not in your body paragraphs. So you're kind of introducing new information in your conclusion, which you shouldn't be doing. And then, let's look. Using the excuse that they don't want them to suffer is unacceptable. If the patient is truly loved, then they should live full lives. Maybe full isn't the greatest word choice. There could be a different word there. Therefore, mercy killings are not ethical. So this part is actually really good and really hits it and drives it home and you restate your thesis here. So these components of the essay are pretty good. However, you don't really leave the readers with anything to really consider. The restating of the thesis is good, this is good, but the kind of middle part isn't mentioned in your body paragraph, so it takes away from everything you talked about. And then if you think about your hook, which I know you don't quite have one in the beginning, but you basically, if you look at that intro and conclusion packet, there's different ways to end your conclusion, and you don't really have a way for the reader to really take away anything super important. So overall, I hope you see some changes you can make to your writing. Because when it looks at it, you need a stronger introduction and hook, and the main issue is your body paragraphs are a little inconsistent with evidence and analysis, so that is one thing you're going to want to be working on as we move forward with some essays in the future and we do some extra stuff with the writing.